230 million Americans are about to choose their next president. But they're also picking the world's most powerful person. So what's at stake for the UK? The US and UK have been each other's military partners of choice for decades. It pairs British forces with the world's mightiest military machine. The US global footprint is huge. 220,000 troops stationed outside the US, including more than 10,000 in the UK. The next president's choices about shaping and using that military might will inevitably have consequences for Britain.
We've done things that you never even thought of doing, including fixing the broken military that you gave me.
You're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
The winner will take command of America's existing military operations, including those where it's fighting, either with boots on the ground or strikes from the air. The UK is heavily involved in two of the biggest US operations. Donald Trump's bringing thousands of US troops home from Afghanistan and has claimed victory over the Islamic State terror group in Iraq and Syria.
We've beaten them, and we've beaten them badly. We've taken back the land.
In fact, it turned out Trump's secret weapon to destroy the so-called caliphate was a continuation of the plan we put in place.
Joe Biden also says he would bring the vast majority of troops home from Afghanistan, putting him on a similar page to the current president.
It's really interesting with Trump. He is reluctant to use force. He thought the war in Iraq was a mistake. Biden's not trigger happy either. Biden's is one who wanted to pull troops out of Afghanistan when Obama recommitted to another surge there.
But Biden and Trump have very different approaches to the strongest formal tie that binds the UK and US.
Trump has taken a battering ram to the NATO alliance. He treats us like it's some kind of American-run protection racket.
Joe Biden promises to restore America's relationship with the alliance, but President Trump says he's pushed NATO into making itself stronger and less reliant on America.
You know, I've got the NATO countries to put up an extra $130 billion, going to $420 billion a year.
Fact checkers point out those figures are actually totals, not annual amounts. And Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, says,
I think it's possible he could pull out of NATO entirely.
Absolutely, Trump wants to stay in NATO, and Trump is a businessman. He comes in, you know, everybody's no until they're yes. That's the phrase in business, right?
NATO's biggest concern right now is Russia, saber-rattling on the alliance's doorstep, its troops in Ukraine, fighting on the opposing side to America in Syria, and carrying out poisonings with Novichok.
We've seen Trump being quite cozy with Putin, being quite forgiving of Russia's transgressions, you know, kind of making excuses and whatnot. With Biden, I think we'd see much more of a traditional approach. We'd see much more of a pushback to what are seen as Russian aggression, Russian meddling.
But Donald Trump did hit back against Moscow for breaking the 1980s INF treaty that limited missiles which could hit Europe. Mr. Trump pulled out of it. He also pulled out of the international deal with Iran, which allowed it to keep researching nuclear technology, but only for peaceful purposes. A deal that Joe Biden helped to broker and would rejoin.
The terms of the agreement there were not necessarily the ones that one would have hoped for, especially in dealing with long-range sorts of things, but nonetheless, it was a basis upon which to build. So there is the intention to re-engage.
Donald Trump prefers sanctions, even economic warfare.
Destroy Iran economically, inspire revolution, and then essentially take in a giant international coalition for aid and reconstruction.
But Donald Trump's gone the softly route in trying to contain North Korea's nuclear ambitions, making history by meeting its leader and setting foot inside the communist state.
We have a different kind of a relationship. We have a very good relationship, and there's no war.
He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy, who's a thug, and he talks about how we're better off, and they have much more capable missiles.
Who knows how much all this is on the minds of Americans already casting their early ballots amid a pandemic and fears for their livelihoods. But politicians and military leaders in the UK and around the world are watching, waiting for a decision that is crucial to them, but in which they get no say. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.